In the dying heat of a western afternoon, the town of Dustwater lay under a blanket of silence, broken only by the creak of swinging saloon doors and the far-off thud of horseshoes striking dry ground. Folks here lived slow, quiet, and scared of one man in particular, a young, arrogant gunslinger named Colt Maddox, who laughed like a devil and shot like lightning. Colt had swagger, youth, and reputation, everything that made men step aside and women hide their children. He believed he ruled Dustwater. He believed no one could stop him. And for the most part, everyone agreed. Except for one man, though no one knew it yet. Old Sam Granger sat outside the saloon, leaning back in a dusty rocking chair, a straw hat pulled low over silver hair, and a pipe resting between his teeth. His hands, scarred, wrinkled, and calloused, rested loosely on his thighs. Sam looked like nothing more than another worn-out relic of the West, a man the world had forgotten and left behind. People saw him and thought nothing. They saw the slow walk, the quiet eyes, the simple clothes. No one knew they were looking at a legend. No one knew those hands had once drawn faster than a man could blink. No one knew this was Silent Sam, the most feared gunslinger of a bygone era, a man who had spilled more blood than he ever wanted to remember, a man who had walked away from violence 30 years ago and never once looked back. And that was the peace Sam clung to until the afternoon. Colt Maddox decided to taunt him. Colt rode into town with 3 men behind him, Dustwater sky swallowing their silhouettes, their boots raising spirals of dirt. The saloon doors smacked open as Colt strutted inside. Heard this town had a gunslinger once. Colt laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. Heard he got old, weak, and toothless just like the rest of you. People stiffened. A few glanced at Sam. Colt followed their eyes and saw the old cowboy, sitting there, rocking slow, calm, unbothered. That him? Colt smirked. The legendary Silent Sam. Looks more like Silent Grandpa. The saloon erupted in nervous chuckles, cowardly, forced trembling. Sam didn't move. Didn't blink. He simply puffed his pipe and watched the sun dip lower. Colt swaggered out and stood in front of him. "Hey, old-timer," he drawled. "If you got anything left in those hands? Or are they too stiff to even lift a cup of water?" Sam exhaled a slow cloud of smoke. "Colt," he said quietly, "you're young. You're reckless. And you don't know what you're poking at." Colt laughed and kicked Sam's boot. "Look at you, fragile. Done. I could knock you over with it." Sneezed. The crowd froze. Sam's eyes, gray like storm clouds, lifted. For the first time, something cold flashed in them. A warning, a memory, a ghost. "I'm gonna make something clear, boy," Sam murmured. "I ain't looking for trouble. Never am. Haven't been for a long time." Colt leaned in closer. "So you admit you're washed up?" Sam leaned forward just enough for Colt to hear. "No, son. I'm saying trouble dies when it comes looking for me." Colt stepped back, irritated by the calm in the old man's voice. Nobody talked to him like that. Anger surged hot in Colt's chest. "Stand up," he barked. "Let's see if the old bones still work." Sam didn't move. "Walk away," he said softly. Last chance, but Colt wasn't listening. He swung his boot and kicked Sam's chair, tipping it backward. The old cowboy crashed onto the wooden floor, pipe clattering beside him. Gasps rippled through the street. Sam lay still for a long second, not hurt, just remembering something he had buried for decades. Slowly he pushed himself up. His hat lay in the dust. His eyes were different now, sharper, darker, dangerous. Like a flame long smothered suddenly found oxygen. Colt laughed triumphantly. "Look at it, the old fool doesn't even have the strength to stand straight." Sam brushed dust from his shirt. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Boy, you just woke a man you ain't ready for." Colt blinked, suddenly uneasy. But pride wouldn't let him step back. "Then let him come," he snapped. "I'll send him to his grave." Sam's jaw clenched, not in fear, but in disappointment. "There ain't a grave dug yet that can hold me," Sam said. "But you're digging yours right now." Fear flickered across the faces around them. Every elder in town knew the story. Silent Sam didn't threaten. He promised. And he never, ever had to say something twice. Colt stepped back, but only half a step. "Tomorrow," he declared quickly. "High noon. We finish this." Sam picked up his hat from the dust, placed it slowly on his head, and locked eyes with the young gunslinger. "Tomorrow," he agreed. "But you ain't facing the old man you see today. You're facing the man I used to be," the crowd murmured, a wind of dread sweeping through them. Colt spat on the ground and turned away, but deep inside, something rattled. Something he didn't want to admit was fear. As Sam walked away, the sun slipping into a fiery sunset behind him, people watched with a mixture of awe and terror, because they realized something Colt hadn't. The most dangerous man in the West wasn't dead. He'd just been sleeping, and Colt Maddox had just awakened him. The next day began with a heavy, suffocating stillness. Dustwater felt like a town holding its breath. Every voice hushed, every window shutter half closed. Mothers kept children indoors, and men spoke in whispers, as though raising their voices might accidentally trigger the storm to come. Word had spread across counties. Horsemen arrived at dawn, gathering from ranches, canyons, and distant plains. They all wanted to witness the showdown between the old legend and the young terror. But they didn't come for Colt. They came because rumors said Silent Sam was back. Sam woke before the sun, sitting on the edge of his bed with the same quiet composure he had always carried. He stared at his old holster hanging from a wooden peg. It was cracked, dusty, worn by time, but the metal inside it was not. His revolver lay there like a sleeping serpent, coiled, silent, patient. Sam hadn't touched it in 30 years. His hands hovered over it. Those hands had once been steady as stone. Today they trembled. Not from fear, from memory. Sam closed his eyes. Faces flashed, men he'd killed, friends he'd lost, the life he had walked away from. He had sworn never to go back. But yesterday Colt Maddox had forced his hand, and the past had answered the call. He strapped a holster around his waist. The leather groaned. Sam felt the weight settle against him, a familiar burden, heavy with history. One last time, he whispered, for peace, as he stepped outside. Morning light spilled across the quiet town. People peeked from windows as he walked. But this wasn't the slow, tired shuffle from yesterday. Sam's steps were firm, straight, purposeful. With every movement, something old returned, his posture tightening, his shoulders squaring, his eyes narrowing with icy focus. The legend was walking again. Not the old man. Silent Sam. Meanwhile, Colt Maddox stood tall in the middle of the street, spinning his shiny revolver like he was the center of the universe. His coat was new, boots polished, holster gleaming, but beneath the surface, doubt gnawed at him. He'd heard the stories last night, the ones he'd always dismissed as myths. But myths don't make grown men shake. And every man he'd mocked the night before now looked at him with a mixture of pity and fear. Colt's pride couldn't swallow that, so he shoved the fear down and replaced it with anger. "Where's the old coward?" Colt shouted. He'd run off yet. Silence answered him, until Sam's boots hit the street. Colt turned, and his smirk faltered. Sam walked calmly, each step measured like a ticking clock. He wore no fancy clothes, no polished boots, no shiny metal, just a worn coat, an old hat, and eyes that froze the blood of every man watching. Colt swallowed. "Didn't think you'd show," he said with forced confidence. Sam stopped 10 paces away, classic dual distance. "I told you yesterday," Sam said quietly. "I don't run." The crowd shifted anxiously. "Let's end this," Colt growled. "Gladly," Sam replied. "But boy, understand this first." His voice lowered. "You think bravery is pulling a trigger fast? But real bravery is knowing when not to," Colt scoffed. "Spare me your old man sermons." Sam nodded slowly. "Then I'll speak in a language you understand." They both stepped back. Wind brushed across the streets, swirling dust around their boots. Sunlight glinted off metal. Time slowed. Colt's hand twitched, first impulsive, reckless, too fast. Sam didn't twitch. He moved. Not like an old man. Not like someone rusty or slow. He moved like a ghost of the West, like lightning disguised in human skin. His gun flashed. Colt's bullet hit the dirt uselessly 2 feet to Sam's. Sam's bullet hit Colt's gun, shattering it in half. Gasps exploded through the crowd. Colt stared at his broken weapon, hands shaking. You shot your gun," Sam finished. "On purpose." Colt stumbled backward, breath trembling. Sam holstered his revolver with a fluid ease that made grown men reconsider everything they believed. "If I aimed an inch left," Sam said softly, "you'd be dead." Colt sank to his knees, pride collapsing under the weight of truth. "Why didn't you kill me?" he whispered. Sam walked forward, towering over the young gunslinger. "Because someone should have taught you long ago that strength ain't a token. Lives. It's inspiring 'em." Colt lowered his head. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the young terror of the West was brought to his knees by a man twice his age. Sam leaned in close. "Leave Dustwater. Leave the gun. Leave the life. Don't make me regret letting you breathe," Colt nodded shakily, tears burning the corners of his eyes. Then he stood, broken but living, and ran out of town. Sam turned toward the people watching him with awe, fear, and deep gratitude. He sighed heavily. The price of awakening the past always felt the same, heavy, painful, hollow. He tipped his hat. "It's done," he said simply. And with that, Silent Sam, the most dangerous man the West had ever feared, walked away once again. The town exhaled. Peace returned, and the legend went back to sleep.